Welcome to the Committee of Adjustments. May I have a mover and a seconder to call this meeting to order? Henry and Brad, that this Committee of Adjustments meeting held on September 25, 2024, come to order at 6 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none. May I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the previous minutes? Brad and Henry? That the Committee of Adjustments minutes dated August 21st, 2024 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Welcome to this Committee of Adjustments meeting to allow the public the opportunity to express their views regarding the proposed minor variances and consents within the Township of Springwater. Each applicant and their agent is, if applicable, will be given the opportunity to present the applications to the committee and the public. Additional information on each of the applications, including any presentation materials, is available in the committee agenda on the township's website. Following those members of the public whom registered to make an oral submission prior to 5:30 p.m. August 20, 2024, will be given the opportunity to do so. All oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker, as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of the meetings will be posted on the township's website. All comments and questions should be addressed to the chair. Application 1, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the first application, item number 4.1 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.1 on the agenda is minor variance application A26/24 submitted by R. Morrow regarding lands known municipally as 13 Hall Street. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a single-story detached accessory building with a total ground floor area of 83.2 square meters, which would result in the exceedance of the total maximum area provisions as described below. A maximum total gross floor area of accessory buildings or structures of 83.2 square meters, whereas section 4.3.12 permits a maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures shall be 65 square meters.
Have any additional correspondence and/or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Severn Sound Environmental Association stating no concerns, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority stating no concerns, residents of 12 Hall Street stating no objections to the proposal, and the Source Water Protection stating an S59 notice to proceed will be required at the time of a building permit application.
Can I please have the applicant introduce themselves and provide comment, if any? If you want to, Mr. Morrow, if you want to come up and just these seats and.
Good evening or afternoon. I'm Bob Morrow. I am the claimant, if you like. I currently live not far away, 4 or 5 miles. We've lived there for 25 years, and we've recently, it's a 50-acre hobby farm. You guys would know about that. I'm getting older. I'm losing my health quickly. It's too much maintenance for me, so I got to get away from there. And we're moving from 50 acres to 1 acre, downtown Phelpston. The reason for this is the minor variance would be, I have at the farm now, I was an electrical contractor in Barrie for 45 years. And I happened on some custom shelving that would fit the building I have now at the farm, which is 45 by 60, a little larger than this. And I cannot fit the racking in the proposed area that I would have. hence the minor variance.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There have been no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Seeing none, may I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A26/24? Mike,
I move that we accept the application as described in the planning report.
may I have a seconder? Henry? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions in section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of the land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning reports on the application dated September 25, 2024, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on September 25, 2024, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve application A26/2024. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Morrow.
Thank you.
Application 2, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.2 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.2 on the agenda is minor variance application A27/24 submitted by K. Easby regarding lands known municipally as 12 Second Avenue. The purpose and effect of the application is to fulfill Condition 8 of Consent Decision B13/24 to recognize a reduced front and side yard setback for the existing single detached dwelling on the retained lands as described. A front yard setback of 5.63 meters, whereas section 4.3.4B requires a minimum front yard setback of 9 meters, and a side yard setback of 2.59 meters, whereas section 4.3.6B requires a minimum side yard setback of 3 meters. Please note, consent application B1324 was approved by the Committee of Adjustment on August 21st, 2024, subject to conditions.
Have any additional correspondence and/or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Severn Sound Environmental Association, Source Water Protection, and the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, all stating no concerns.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Good evening. My name's Kyle Easby. I am the owner of 12 Second Avenue in Phelpston, and I am seeking a minor variance to reduce the side lot and frontage allowed for the existing dwelling. Furthermore, it's to satisfy the conditions of B1324 and to allow for the lot severance.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you. There have been no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none, thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A27/24? Henry or whoever?
I make a motion that we accept the application as presented, along with the recommendations put forth by the planning department.
May I have a seconder? Mike? All in favor? Carried. That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the township of Springwater, the characteristics of the land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning reports on the application dated September 25, 2024, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on September 25, 2024, and the discussion of the matter hereby approve application A27-2024. A27-24. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Good evening.
Application 3, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application item number 4.3 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.3 on the agenda is minor variance application A29/24 submitted by the Simcoe County District School Board regarding lands known municipally as 28 Simcoe Street. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit a reduced rear yard setback of 5 meters, whereas section 30.3.5 permits a minimum rear yard setback of 10.5 meters.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Severn Sound Environmental Association stating no concerns. The resident of 15 Howden Street inquiring if a visual barrier will be installed behind their property. The Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority stating no concerns. And the Source Water Protection outlining requirements and recommendations as outlined in the memorandum dated September 24th, 2024.
May I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Thank you and good evening to members of committee. Thank you for consideration of this application and to town staff for their recommendation and work on this application. And my name is Benjamin Craig, and I am a planner with the Simcoe County District School Board. This application is in regards to Huronia Centennial Elementary School in Elmvale. This is part of a broader project that the school board is undertaking at the school. We are proposing an addition to the existing elementary school as part of one of our capital priorities to increase the overall pupil capacity for the catchment area of Springwater. As part of that, we are proposing to proposing to rearrange the parking area on the site. And this includes splitting the bus lane and the staff parking and the parent drop-off area in order to reduce conflicts with pedestrians and vehicles. As part of that, the new drive aisle of this parking area is proposed to intrude into the required rear yard setback. So therefore, this minor variance is to reduce that required rear yard setback to 5 meters. The board is aware there is an existing landscape buffer along the north end of the property, with the exception of one house. The board has been in contact with the owner of that property and to ensure appropriate screening from the eventual development. The board will be filling in that gap in the landscape barrier. So that will be done prior to commencement of construction in that area. So that's a proposal. Thank you very much for consideration and to town staff for their review. And if there are any questions, I will try my best to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you. Yes, we have Miss Layla Potts of 15 Howden Street, who is virtual, and she is unmuted if you would like to speak.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. I have obviously spoken to Ben, and he's provided the drawings of the visual barrier, which I appreciated. I just wanted your group to back that up so that there would be a visual barrier installed. And my second question would be, in my initial consultation with the board, my understanding it would be within 5.5 meters, and now it's within 5 meters. Which distance would be the preference? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Potts. Township staff, can you verify that?
Through the chair to the rest of the committee, I do have the site plan right in front of me, and I might have written an error in the report, but the site plan, it varies kind of from a peak of 5.72 meters to kind of the top entrance. And kind of at the closest it would be 5.5 meters.
Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Brad?
Just a quick one. Did you say that you'd been in contact with Mrs. Potts about the barrier and that was basically agreed to? Okay, thank you.
Yes, through the chair to the committee member. Yes, we have been in contact with Ms. Potts, and thank you for your comment as well about the barrier. Yes, we will, that is agreed upon. We will be putting it in, and if she has any more questions regarding that, please feel free to reach out to the board at any time. We'll be happy to answer them.
May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A29/2024? Oh my goodness, sorry. Brad?
I move that the application be approved with the conditions as per the staff report.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? Henry? The Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45, the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated September 25, 2024, the corresponding receipt and information presented at the hearings held on September 25, 2024, and the discussion of the matter hereby approve application A29/24. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Application 4, will the secretary treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.4 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.4 on the agenda is minor variance application A28/24 submitted by S. Camastro regarding lands known municipally as 10 Marl Creek Drive. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a single-story detached accessory building with the total ground floor area of 185.8 square meters and a maximum height of 5.8 meters, which would result in the exceedance of the total maximum area and height provisions of zoning bylaw 5000 as described. A maximum total gross floor area of accessory buildings or structures of 187.7 square meters, whereas section 4.3.12 permits a maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures shall be 65 square meters, and a maximum height of 5.8 meters, whereas section 3.7.5b permits a maximum height of 4.5 meters, or the height of the dwelling, whichever is the lesser.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Severn Sound Environmental Association stating no concerns, Source Water Protection stating no concerns, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority stating no concerns, and letters received from 16 residents of Marl Creek Drive.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Sebastian Camastro, and I put forward this proposition for a detached garage in the back of 10 Marl Creek, where myself, my father, and my girlfriend Morgan reside. The purpose of this building would be strictly for storage. We are motorsport enthusiasts, and we've got a collection of 7 trucks, 2 of which are classics that we store in the wintertime, as well as 1 classic car. A boat, which we enjoy when we can, as well as snowmobiles, and the main one is our recreational RV. This is the main reason for the size, the height variance, as well as the square footage variance. It is a 43.5-foot long fifth wheel, which I pull with my 1-ton dually. And this trailer is something we've stored inside since we've had it, and would enjoy to continue storing it inside. And we feel that due to the excessive lot that we have there at 10 Marl Creek, this proposed garage would be suitable compared to the opposite or the other option that we have of an attached garage. The detached garage makes more sense for us, and that's why we decided to go and do this route. The attached garage, to have the same square footage, would result in a 100-foot long by 20-foot wide attached garage, which is not only very dysfunctional for the size of the property and would involve having a driveway go towards the back of the property and backing the trailer in, but it would also mean a wall-like a view for the neighbors, which we did not want directly attached to the house. So this detached garage will be styled equally to the view of the house with equal siding and roof color and garage color. And the landscape around this detached garage will be done up as well to provide as much coverage as possible. As we've received these comments, we've realized that there's been a lot of misinformation in terms of the fact that the thoughts of commercial use is part of the idea of this building, which is completely false. My father and I are both heavy equipment mechanics and diesel mechanics, and we were happily employed at our current employers, and building a detached garage in the back to have some sort of commercial business would not only be something we've never considered, never thought of doing, but also would void our contracts with our employers. So for these reasons, we feel that this storage building that we'd be installing in the back of the property would be strictly for storage and no commercial use whatsoever, as well as no commercial use proposed or rezoning should we happen to sell the property. Thank you very much for your time and consideration of the proposal.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Yes, there are 7 separate households who have registered. We will begin with Gord Wilson of 1258 Wilson Drive, who will be speaking on behalf of Marie James of 12 Morrow Creek Drive.
Yes, good afternoon, committee. I appreciate the job you folks do. My name is Gord Wilson. I've been in the township for most of my life. 61 years I've lived in the Net Mills area. 36 years as a contractor in the area. First of all, before I start, has any of the committee here been out to the properties to look at it? Henry's been out? Everybody has? Okay, good. First of all, Marie James has asked me to speak for her because this has really got her emotionally upset that she doesn't feel she can talk in front of the folks. So anyway, the concerns that we have is problem number 1 will be the water runoff of a garage, 36 by 60. Now, a lot of you folks know how big that is. It'll be approximately, by my calculations of the contractor, 21 feet, not 19. This is like putting a storage shed that you see in the farmer's fields, basically in the backyard of a residential subdivision. The driveway, sorry, I got a toothache right now, so can you give me 1 second? Okay. Also a driveway.
Excuse me,
100
Gord.
feet and
Gord?
parking area will be
Mr.
built,
Wilson,
causing.
can you just speak closer to the mic?
Okay, sorry. Don't move? No. Okay, sorry. Okay, also a driveway of over 100 feet and a parking area will be built, causing a lot of water runoff. This extra water cannot be soaked into the area as this ground is of heavy clay, which means soaking into the soil is very slow. Therefore, the extra water has to go somewhere. Mrs. James' septic bed could be very easily oversaturated from this water. To fix it, this would mean putting extra water and contaminants into the conservation area, which is right behind the Morrow Creek. The township has a bylaw, according to the application, of 700 square feet for a garage in a subdivision. I'm sure there was a lot of thought put into this size for in a subdivision. I feel this is not a minor variance. This is a large variance because you're taking it from 700 feet to 2,000 square feet. Other owners in the subdivision have asked for garage variances for roof lines, but have kept to the 700 square feet. Good neighbors. Approximately 17
of 25 lots, households in this subdivision have submitted a letter to the township supporting Mrs. James. The neighbors and Mrs. James just want to see the township bylaw be followed. If a garage of this size, 2,000 square foot, is allowed, it will set precedents for other requests of this size. Concerns of many of the neighbors has been, yes, this could in the future be turned into a commercial building under the table, and this would cause a lot of problems in the future for protecting the conservation area. So 17 out of 25 households supporting Mrs. James. That's a lot of people out of 25. And I was astonished that 25 people took the time to write you folks to say they do not want this precedent set in their subdivision. So this shows to me that this is a super tight little community on Marl Creek. And I'd hate for that not to stay like that. And I think it's very important for you folks to make a good decision here about what we want to set for precedents in subdivisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We also have Marissa and Michael Axon who are in person. So if you could please come to the stand and state your address for the record.
Evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Marissa Axon. This is my husband, Michael Axon. I am the daughter of Marie James, who lives at number 12 Marl Creek. My address is 208 North Ridge Drive, or Road, depending on if you go with the Postal Service, in Thornton, Ontario. LOL 2N0. So I'm going to read, please excuse the top of my head as I'm going to read a letter just to respect your time and keep myself on track. Historically, number 10 Marl Creek Drive has had resting water issues on the property. The previous owners had to change the drainage from their sump pump between number 10 and number 12 Marl Creek Drive to drain towards the front of the house to the ditch, as the water was unable to be absorbed between the houses due to the clay ground. Number 10's sump pump tends to come on approximately every 7 minutes, and number 12's comes on approximately every 15. It's almost double the amount of water leaving number 10. The previous owners were not able to walk their dog through the latter part of the backyard due to the water, and the ground has always been wet and spongy. This also is observed when their robotic lawnmower frequently got stuck in the wet areas of the lawn. Since the removal of a large willow tree approximately 5 years ago, this issue has gotten worse and more water now pools between the two properties. My mother, is able to speak to the facts as she has lived in this house for the past 15 years. Marie is concerned that any grading changes could shift the resting water and cause potential damage to her property, including the septic field and the possibility of the septic system. The addition of a 2,000 square foot storage building, which, to be clear for those who don't know the mathematical, that is pretty much the size of an average person's home that we are talking of the building, could cause water displacement. So now I also have a number of questions, concerns, and things that she'd like to have addressed, would there be the need to cut down any more additional trees on the property? Permitting a building that is almost 3 times the allotted size could be setting a new and unwanted precedent for this established residential subdivision. Should the building of a 2,000 square foot storage structure be granted, there will need to be an access point to this building. This would mean driving on a larger portion of the yard, causing further ground disturbance. Is it to be anticipated that an access laneway will also be added to the property? Would this access way be gravel, pavement, or just driving on the grass? And are there environmental impacts to consider if so? Additionally, I fully understand that this is hearsay. However, it has brought to our attention by two separate individuals during two separate conversations that the intention of this building, once the building has been completed, is to apply for rezoning for the purpose of business. I fully understand that the Planning Committee and the Zoning Committee are two separate committees. However, we need to consider the possible planning and purpose of this building now and in the future. This residential residential neighborhood. What assurances would Marie have that this building cannot be used for the purpose of business now or in the future? Is there a guarantee that will be built into the building agreement that would state that this building is strictly for storage, and will it be in writing that this building cannot be rezoned for and must remain for personal use only? Are there any plans to add electricity, water, or sewage to this building now or in the future? Would the current septic system of number 10 be able to handle a household and a structure? Where would the overflow of usage potentially go? All of these houses are currently on wells. Would the potential of the addition of running water to another building disrupt the water flow of any of those current wells? This is the 2,000 square foot storage building planned to be a cold storage, or are there plans to have it as a heated building? If so, how would the building be heated? Would this be by electric, gas, oil heating, or wood stove? Are there any environmental concerns due to the conservation pond located on the other end of the far end of the property? Is there a concern with the heating method and the hazardous materials or welding equipment that may be used within the building? If the storage building of 2,000 square feet is put into the backyard of a residential neighborhood with the intention to house a 43-foot trailer, classic cars, the trailer for those vehicles, boats and its trailer, multiple skidoos and the trailer that they're along with the welding equipment that was spoken of by the owner of number 10, what security measures will be put in place to ensure that there are no incidences of theft or risk to individuals in the neighborhood that may potentially put on the neighborhood? If welding equipment that was spoken of by the owner of number 10 is to be used in the storage building, what fire protection or suppression systems or equipment would be put in place? What measures are being taken to contain any hazardous materials such as fuel or oil that may be required? How will having a 2,000 square foot building in the backyard affect the potential resale value of the other houses adjacent to the property or overlooking this property have in the future? This would be drastic change to the beautiful landscape that has drawn individuals to reside in this neighborhood. Marie has lived here over 15 years and enjoys sitting in the backyard of this tranquil area daily. Due to the size of the construction of this building, should any heavy equipment be used and vibration cause damage to the adjacent properties due to a number of factors, who will be responsible for the repair of these damages? The letter that Marie has been asked to sign by the Camastros was clear to state that it would not be the responsibility of number 10. Are there any potential environmental risks to the runoff water in the wetland pond behind the property if this is being used to store potential hazardous materials? For example, the oil leak from a trailer or classic cars that do tend to leak hazardous materials. 4 other homes within the neighborhood currently have storage buildings and have managed to stay within the allotted size of 700 square foot, with variances for roof height. This variance is requesting for almost 3 times the allotted size stated by the bylaw. This request is not considered a minor variance. Please don't allow the building size of this established residential subdivision. Please adhere to the bylaw of 700 square foot building. I would like to thank you for your time and consideration in this matter of a 2,000 square foot building in the backyard of a residential neighborhood. Thank you.
We have Chris and Carol Trott of 15 Marl Creek Drive, who are in person. You can please come to the stand.
Hello, thank you. My name is Carolyn Trott. This is my husband, Chris, and we reside at 15 Marl Creek Drive. I'm not going to reiterate a lot of what has already been said. A lot of that is what I was prepared to say. It doesn't need to be repeated. However, I will just add that anyone that I have mentioned to that this was happening in our neighborhood, their first comment when I said the size was, "Oh, is it going to be commercial?" Because that's just what comes to mind. And I understand that we've had assurances from the Camastros that it will not. However, even if it is not, the visual concept, it appears that way in the, if you understand what I'm saying, the visual impact in the community would be that of a commercial type building, even if it is not being used for that purpose, which I believe is one of the big reasons why the people of the community are very reticent to accept this. Thank you.
We have Sean and Corey McGinnis of 31 Marl Creek Drive who are virtual, and I will be just allowing to speak. Just one moment.
Hi there. I really can't say much more than what's already been said. I thought it was very, very well thought out, well said. My big concern is, besides what have already been said, what sort of electrical service they plan on bringing in. That's all I've got.
Thank you. You're on mute.
We also have Adam Wood of 25 Marl Creek Drive, who is also virtual, and I will be allowed to speak. One moment. Adam, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I didn't know I was unmuted yet. Can you hear me?
We can.
Excellent. Again, I'm just going to reiterate what everybody else has already said. Again, save the council some time and not repeating, but this size of a building has no business in a residential neighborhood, whether it's used for commercial or not commercial. This is just far too large. We've had people on the street that have had to take down a 6x6 garden shed because of bylaws that, were too many square foot coverage for their lot when they built an outbuilding within the rules that were allowed. So to allow something like this would be certainly out of context for what everybody else on the street has been allowed, and certainly doesn't belong in a residential street.
Thank you.
And then finally, we have Diana Van Castren of 28 Marl Creek Drive, who is virtual. So just one moment. And Diana has declined to speak, so that's everyone who we have registered to speak.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Just come ahead here and state your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Laura Johnston. I live at 1668 Floss Road 4 West in Phelpston. So I'm just outside the perimeters of Phelpston. I have watched the community grow over the last 47 years. And it has been wonderful to see the subdivisions grow and the people come in and add the vitality to Phelpston that we so desperately needed. There are rules and regulations. 700 square feet. To ask for a minor variance almost 3 times that size is excessive, not minor. There have been requests in the past that I'm aware of that were denied because it was too large. A 12 by 14 shed was denied. This is far in excess of that. To try and stop it in the future, if it is permitted at 20 by 40 or the 2,000 square feet to become commercial, it's going to be very difficult if it's not stopped now. If it's allowed to be built, how do you stop it in the future becoming commercial? On a residential street, that is a dead end. That will have trucks coming in and out. It's a safety factor for the kids on the street. There have been other submissions on St. Patrick's, on O'Neill, were denied. This needs to be denied. This is in far excess of the current requirements or provisions allowed. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the audience who wants to speak? Thank you. Thank you for everyone who spoke. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning this application? Brad?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, Sebastian. I know it's tough for young people to come up and speak in front of all us gray-haired people, but you did a nice job and thank you. However, and with due respect to staff, I don't agree that this is an appropriate or desirable development for the area, or it's minor in nature. And just for those quickly to get out of this, I won't be supporting. Thank you.
Henry?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask staff, if they attach it to their house, can they build that size of building on the property if it's attached?
Through the chair and the rest of the committee. So if they actually attach it to the structure of the main dwelling, there's actually a lot less restrictions that they have to follow. The 4.5 meters that's for the garage, a house height can have a maximum of 11 meters. So the garage could actually be larger in that sense if they wanted it to. The only things that we're looking at when you're attaching it to the primary dwelling would be your setbacks and your lot coverage. And with the proposal of Mr. Camastro coming in for the 2,000 square foot, the existing structure and the chicken coop, they were only at a 7.8% lot coverage. So should they even want to go larger than that and attach it, they would still meet that requirement. And then again, as long as it meets the side yard setback and the rear yard setback, which is a pretty deep lot, they shouldn't have any issue doing that as well. So that would be done just through like a building permit. They wouldn't have to come back to the committee to get approval for this. Thank you.
Any other committee members? Mike?
My comment, I guess, would be the issue of what could happen with a building addition application is really not the issue of this committee. That's a separate thing, and that's another bylaw. That's another set of standards. So it's really outside our bailiwick. What could happen to the property in the future, the risk of it becoming commercial, is no different than any other property. That somebody could use it commercially, albeit illegally, and then have to deal with that issue. But my opinion is that this is not a minor variance, this is a major variance, and so I'm not concerned about the commercial use, and I'm not concerned about the watershed, because the watershed has to be handled with any building and any property. If it's an addition, the owner has to make sure the stormwater management is done appropriately anyway. So they're all issues, but they're not issues, in my opinion, for this committee. I still think it's just a major variance. I will not be supporting it.
So my question, what's the difference of the minor variances with the bylaws that we have and actually building a new building on your building? Why did it come as a minor variance?
Through the chair and the rest of the committee. So when we're evaluating a minor variance, minor doesn't always mean a small variance. The way that it's looked at is we're looking at different components of the zoning bylaw and we're trying to address to see if it could meet some of these tests, essentially the 4 minor variance tests. When we looked at the lot coverage, again, the lot coverage wasn't really showing us a huge impact on that, so we considered that. A big one too is being subordinate to the building. If you look at the complete area of this house with the basement, it's kind of like a half split with a full basement and a garage. We're at about 3,400 square feet through what MPAC is stating. So again, we're looking at that. That's about 60% of the gross floor, the total floor of the house. So these are kind of the things that we look at when we're addressing the minor variance. I know something else that we noted was the height technically is a bit higher than the house. When we did a site visit, essentially we did notice that the grading drops off a little bit towards the back. That essentially, and I think the difference was about 1.5 foot from the height of the house. So we figured that wouldn't be visually impactful from the street and it wouldn't appear taller than the house. So these are all kind of things that when we look at it as a whole, although it might seem like a really large structure and doesn't seem minor, that's not necessarily what minor means. It doesn't mean small. It just means you're kind of putting it against all the tests and making sure that it meets that. I think I answered that. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question, is there any chance of, I guess, reducing the size of it? And the applicant would have to answer that. I know it's basically for its RV, but I'm just trying to maybe meet in the middle and just wondering if there was a chance of changing the size.
Thank you for your question there, Wanda. I appreciate it. So in discussing this with the planning department, I had initially brought forward a 2,400 square foot detached garage with a 16-foot door. And so when we looked at it closer and through the various conversations I had with the planning department, they made it apparent that, well, that is big, it's too big. And the question becomes, well, what's big and what's too big? And for what our storage needs is strictly for this RV is why we're asking for this substantial variance. And for us to bring the size down less than 2,000 square feet, it would have to be a discussion as to what is that allowed and in terms of us putting it attached to the house. Well, I completely agree that this isn't the purpose of the meeting, and that's not why we are here to discuss this variance. I feel it should be recognized that attaching this structure to the house would allow us to go to that initial 2,400 square foot. Although doing that, it becomes dysfunctional, and like I say, we will end up putting a gravel driveway to the back of the property to be able to back in the RV. There's no other option for us to be able to put this trailer in. So with us having the conversation with the planning department as well as with the building department, it has been made clear that I'm able to go ahead with putting an addition on the back of the garage to hold this RV as well as my other collection of classic cars. At unfortunately the expense of the neighbors to my northeast, which it would appear as to a wall be going across. That was the purpose of this proposal for the detached garage, was for it, as though it may not seem to everybody else, it is in the two options that we had, a better aesthetically pleasing option. So that being said, we don't we don't feel as though we can go much smaller than this proposed 2,000 square feet, when the additional option for us is just to attach it to the house and be able to not only get the 2,400 square feet that we initially put in for, but also the height, because 11 meters is 35 feet. So 35 feet to the midpoint of the roof is far more than what we need, but that's what we'll take if the proposition is that we have to put it attached to the house.
Thank you. Thanks for answering my question. Any other comments from the committee? Henry?
And first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and expressing your views with this application, and also to the Camastros for bringing their proposal in. But at the bottom the line of this is, I feel, is that they call it minor variance, but as explained to us, what is a minor variance? But to make this aesthetically pleasing for everyone here, I see it as that it's going to be more aesthetically pleasing when it is detached from the house or else attach it to the house. So, I mean, I have a hard I see it better as that it be put in as the proposal as presented, rather than them coming back, and won't be coming back to us. It'll just go to the building department, and they'll build it bigger than what they're proposing here now. So personally, I would be voting in favor of the application as presented.
Mike?
I don't feel that there are only two options available, but that's what this conversation sounds like. It's detached or attached. There is no application for an attached unit at this point. There may very well be. The other thing that comes at me from the earlier conversation in your presentation, sir, was you mentioned this big trailer is a reason it has to be this size, but you also said it's been stored indoors forever so far. So it's been stored indoors somewhere. It's not our issue. Again, it's not our department what to do with how people use their stuff. And I'd love to see all your interesting vehicles, and like I really do. I like that kind of stuff. And I almost never oppose anything, but this changes the character. And I understand that. I appreciate the perspective of why the planning department could consider this a minor variance for lots of reasons. It is a minor variance, but I think it would have a major impact on the situation. So I'm still not going to support it. I agree with Henry that the alternative could be way worse, but that's not what I'm here to do. So to me, it's not that choice. And if it ends up worse, I feel bad for your neighbors, but so be it. But it's just too big for me to be in favor of as is. So.
Any other comments from the committee? James, yep, do you want to can you come to the front? Just state your name, which we know, but if you just state it.
Marie James, and I'm at number 12, and I'm not comfortable doing this. you have 17 or 16 applications from people on the street who have said that they buy a house in this neighborhood for the tranquility, for the nature all around us. This is going to be visually an eyesore for most of the neighbors, and they don't support it. So I don't understand why a committee would support it when you've got over half a neighborhood saying no. And Mr. Camastro came to my house twice to try to get me to sign a letter saying that I would agree with this, but he wanted me to sign that he wasn't responsible if I get any water damage or if my foundation cracks. And who would sign something like that, you know? And I've been there for 15 years. I know what the water issues are. And to have this big building there and to have to build a road to go to it, to be able to access it, that's like 3/4 of the backyard. And where's that water going to go? It's going to go on my lot. And they're not going to take any kind of responsibility. They want all of this, but they don't want to take any responsibility for anything that happens to my property. I have been there for 15 years. They have been there for 5 months. I know they have a lot of things to store, but half the people on the street during COVID bought these big RVs and they stored them beside their house, and it's not a problem. He's saying that he had it stored at a farm, but now the people are moving and he can't store it there. Well, if you have a double car garage already, you can put your classic cars in there. You can build a 700 square foot and you can still put your snowmobile and your boat in there and leave your RV outside like everybody else does. This is a residential area and the people and the residents do not want this. And they have given you letters that say so. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to verify, we are here for the minor variance and everything else is fortunately separate, and I appreciate everyone's concerns. I really do. So now can I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A28-24? Brad?
No,
No.
I had a question. We have to make a motion for something to put on the floor, right? Whether it's approve or we're allowed to deny, that changed, right? We're allowed to make a motion to deny.
You can approve, deny, or defer.
Okay. I guess I need more clarification. If we deny it and that vote is not successful, is it approved?
Sorry, through the chair. I feel like we've had this happen kind of in the past. I think once you guys vote on it, that's essentially the decision, if I'm correct, right? Secretary Treasurer Paolucci?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the motion brought forward here is to approve, and you would vote on approving. And if quorum is not met for that, then it would be denied. Unless someone brings forward a motion to defer it. But otherwise, the motion being brought forward is to approve.
Thank you. That makes it clear. Even if we bring the motion forward or second it, just to get it on the floor, it's still fine to vote against it or not support it. Yep. Okay.
Now can I have a motion from one of the committee members? Henry?
I make a motion that we approve the application as presented, along with all the requirements put forth from the planning department.
All in favor? I second it. Skip the Mike? All in favor? Opposed? It's denied. That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45, the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of the land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning reports on the application dated September 25, 2024, sorry, I don't have my glasses. The correspondence received from the information presented at the hearings held on September 25, 2024, and the decision of the matter hereby denied application A28, 2024. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much. May I have a move and a second to adjourn this meeting? Mike? Henry? That this Committee of Adjustments meeting held on September 25, 2024 does now adjourn at 6:59 PM. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.